Hello and welcome to the first installment of the training for the new iPCR program for the iPads. In this training we're going to talk about half charts and cruise shuttles, which will basically function in the same kind of way. I think I've set this program up to be pretty intuitive and walk you through. There's going to be no more guessing on fields, as it's going to be able to tell you everything that it wants. So when you first launch the iPCR app, you're going to be brought to the login page. Your login is the same as it is with FieldBridge. It's going to be your first and middle initial and last name, and the password will be whatever you set up with iPCR via the email that you received. So once you log in, you come to your dashboard here that has all your various functions, most of which we're not going to be using. But if you do log in and we've changed something on the back end, you're going to be prompted with this little pop-up that says there's updates available. Always make sure you click OK on that so the iPad is using the most up-to-date information. So the first thing you're going to want to do is set up your shift at the beginning of the day. So you click on the little ambulance there, and it's going to bring you to the shift setup page. On the left, you have some information that it's going to ask of you. The first thing is the vehicle call sign. So if you click on the area to the right of the text there, it's going to bring up a little roller list with the available options. So select one of those. And then it's going to ask you for a vehicle number, which you just type in. And it's going to ask you to select your shift for the day. Once you've done that, you're going to want to assign personnel. So to assign a person, you click on the little people button there, and it's going to bring up a list of our current folks. You also have an option at the bottom there to add a custom personnel. You would do that in the case of if you had a rider with you or someone that is not in this list, and it'll add them to the PCR. So once you touch somebody's name, it's going to bring up a little signature pad. It may bring up a saved signature, or it may ask you to start from zero. Either way, if you're happy with it, click accept. And then it's going to ask you to select roles. You can select several of these. I would generally select the driver, just driver, not driver transport, and primary patient caregiver or something else that's appropriate there. So once you've done that for both of your people, you can see them show up there on the right. We'll also have a flight nurse and flight paramedic / RT person that you can put in there to document that the way we do currently. So once you're done with all that, you're going to hit home, and it's going to bring you back to the dashboard here. So you have create PCR there, which is what we're going to use to start a new chart. Open PCRs will be PCRs on that particular device that have not been submitted. Hopefully that should usually be 0. Then you have an inbox to the right there that will pop up with a little number there if a chart has been returned to you, or there's QI notes or anything like that. The CQI you're not going to use. The support you generally shouldn't use. The EMS worksheet is not usable. The user settings doesn't have anything for you, and log out would just take you back to the login screen. So to start a new chart, we're going to click Create PCR. So it's going to bring you into the chart, and you can see at the bottom there you have some icons of various things. These are your different pages of information that you're going to need to put in there. But the very first thing you're going to want to do is go to disposition, the little flag icon there, and set your patient disposition. This is the piece of information that's going to drive the close call rules of the chart that tell you what it needs. So if you click on patient disposition, it'll open up an option here. I've tried to use the verbiage that we use, the full chart, half chart, to dictate what kind of trip you're doing. Pretty self-explanatory there. The patient treated, transported by EMS will only be used in the case where you have patient care. So not anymore with a full chart. You'll just select full chart there. So those are pretty much your options there. So select whatever kind of call you're about to do and click done. And you'll notice that it lights up some red things on here. So on the disposition page, if you know this information, you can fill it out while you're here. Otherwise, you can come back to it. But you have PCR owner there. That's basically the person that's writing this particular chart and is going to be responsible for it. So if you click on that area, it's going to bring up the people associated with the shift setup, and you'll pick whoever you are riding this. You're also going to go up and make sure the transport mode from scene is accurate. I've set a lot of this to auto-populate, but some of that is red, which should flag you to just verify it. And then up to the right there, you have type of destination. So if you click on that area, you're going to be presented with some options here: airport, hospital, home, so on and so forth. So if you choose a destination that's in that list there, it's going to bring you to a destination list. And if you click at the top where it says list, it's going to bring up a list of all the places that we go. So you'll select whichever is applicable. If you're taking somebody to their residence or to a place that's not in this list, you can enter that information manually on the previous screen. But I put everywhere we've gone in the last 2 years in here, so it should be pretty accurate. So select wherever you're going, click done, and then you're going to come back to the main dispatch page here. So you can see that you have some new information here that's lit up in red. From left to right, the date's going to auto-populate. Your incident number and your run call number are going to be the same. You'll have to enter that twice, which is the trip number we've paid you. Type of service requested is going to be your next field. And you're going to choose from these things here. Again, I tried to stick with what makes sense. So air ambulance intercept, anytime you're pulling a patient off of an aircraft, this is what you're going to choose. And that's the only instance where air ambulance intercept is going to come into play, is the leg of the call that you're actually taking the patient off of an aircraft. Otherwise, you have a flight crew shuttle, whether that's an empty leg back or an empty leg to a hospital to get somebody. And then you have CCT assist there. And where that's going to come into play is if you pick up, say, the newborn team at Children's, take them to Children's North Campus to get a kid and back, that's where you're going to use that CCT assist. The interfacility transfer option there that's barely visible at the bottom, that's going to be your choice when you're doing a transfer from a psych facility or something where you have patient care. So it's going to want to walk you through the various fields. Once you select one, it's going to want to walk you through the other. A word of caution, using the tab key to go through fields on this doesn't always work. Sometimes it gets confused as to where it's supposed to go next. So if it doesn't walk you through it, you're just going to have to select it with your finger. If it walks you through something, tries to get you to put in something you don't know, you can just touch out of the little screen there and it'll just take you back one. But the one it's going to want to do next is the pickup location. Same thing as before, you have a list there that you can use with all the facilities that we normally go to. Again, if it's not in this list, you can just free type it in there. Next, we have our times on the right here. You just touch these areas and it's going to come up with the current time, and you can just select OK, or you can alter that. But we have the times lit up there. The next thing is going to be your destination mileage underneath there. The start and scene will always be 0, so destination is going to be whatever the total mileage from your start to finish is. To the right there, you'll see a little blue speedometer button. If you have entered the pickup location and the destination location and forget to track your mileage, you can click on that and it's going to bring up a screen that will have the ability to auto-calculate that. A word of caution with that, it's going to calculate the most direct route and not necessarily reflect what you actually did. So for instance, if you took E470 from the airport to Children's, which is generally 30-something miles, it's not going to know that, and it's going to do the usual 16.9. So keep in mind that we do get paid per mile, so we want to put as accurate of information in there as we possibly can. The next area we come to is a patient information tab. Currently, we're entering the name of the patient in the narrative for half charts. In this program, we're going to actually put the patient's name, first and last name, in this field here, and that's so it goes over to the billing folks appropriately. You don't have to worry about anything else on this page for half charts, but for every leg associated with a particular patient, make sure you're putting the patient name in this tab. Under the HPI section, you're going to have your narrative there. The narrative is set as a required field, but it's not going to light up red for whatever reason. So you can type your narrative here. You can also use the iPad dictation function to dictate your narrative. Word of warning on that is it times out eventually, so you're not going to be able to dictate your entire narrative. It also doesn't understand a lot of our terminology. So if you do use the dictation feature, just make sure that you're reviewing that and changing anything that it doesn't understand. For instance, code 2, it likes to use the TOO or TO instead of the number 2. So just make sure if you dictate it that you're reviewing that. I accidentally put a blank slide in. My bad. So next we come to is the billing portion. In these charts, the way we're going to dictate the name of the flight program that we've worked with is under the Insurance Details tab. It doesn't light up red here for some reason, but once you get into it, it'll light up red. So once you've clicked on the Insurance Info tab, you get a little pop-up here with a plus. Go ahead and click the plus, and that's going to open this window. And you can see the insurance company there is lit up red. The first thing you want to do is set the priority. That's a thing I cannot get around. So if you click on that, you have primary, secondary. Just choose primary and then done. And then if you click on the 3 dots to the right of the insurance company, you'll have a list here of all the air medical programs that we've worked with in the last 2 years. Everybody should be in here, but if for some reason something wonky comes in, just go ahead and free type it in the previous screen. Once we've got our billing information, you can go to supplemental info on the far right, and you're going to have your tail number, crew name, and trip number that you're going to want to put in there. The treatment and interventions comes in a full chart, which we'll talk about later. But that's basically the end of a half chart with patient and a crew shuttle. So you can do these in any order that you want, but make sure that disposition is set first. So once you think you're done with it, at the very top there next to save, you have review. When you click on review, it's going to bring you to a PDF version of your chart, and you can look through that, and if you're happy with it, you're going to want to hit submit and close. And when you do that, it's going to ask you if you're sure you want to do that, and then it's going to run it through the validation criteria and the closed call rules to make sure that you didn't forget anything. If it finds something, it's going to come up with a list there of things that you need to fix. You'll just have to hit OK and go back to your PCR, hit done at the top there, and go back and fix your issues. It may come up with some warnings. In this program, warnings are optional. What it doesn't like is it'll say fatal. So if there's a fatal problem, that's something you have to fix. If there are warnings, then you can ignore those. So once you do that and it's happy, it's going to fire it off to the internet, and then we'll take it from there. But the big takeaway here is when you first log in to do your PCR, set your patient disposition first, because that's going to drive everything else. So that's it for this portion. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let me know, and we can fix things and make changes as we move forward. Thanks.